Hi, my name is Wesley Chinn, and I'm the artistic director of Opera Omnia, a company I started along with Crystal Manich and Avi Stein, my co-artistic directors. 3 years ago, we presented Monteverdi's The Coronation of Poppaea at Le Poisson Rouge in English, and now we're coming back in September with Cavalli's Giasone, which was the most popular opera of the 17th century. These late Venetian operas were very popular and populist even. They attracted a mass audience, and I would call them squarely middlebrow entertainment, which becomes obvious when you do them in translation. People ask us sometimes, why do you do things with period instruments, which seems to be a very correct approach, and in English, which seems in some ways the opposite? But to me, they're kind of two sides of the same coin. We're interested in what did the composer have in mind, and what experience did the audience have? So I like the harpsichord, for instance, because if I want to know what Cavalli or Monteverdi had in mind, they had a particular sound, and the harpsichord was that sound, and so I want to explore their musical imagination. But as dramatists, they had this idea that the text was very clear. The instrumentation is light, and the original audience would have understood everything very clearly, including all the humor. These shows are really very light. They have, in the same way as Shakespeare does, a lot of very funny things that happen after very serious things. And when you get them in translation, you get, I think, maybe more the experience the original audience had of seeing the actor on stage, understanding what they say, and not having to look at a libretto or super titles or draw on your sketchy Italian class from high school. You just understand what's going on. So we have the difference, and you'll have to excuse my singing and my playing. I will do neither of them in this show. But the difference from the Coronation of Poppaea, Ottone's opening aria in Italian goes something like this. E pur io torno qui, colline al centro, qual fuoco spera, e qual ruscello mare. Which is beautiful. It's beautiful Italian poetry. If it were sung by a genuine countertenor, it would be a lovely sound. But it's kind of just sound, and so I read the libretto. If I do it in English, it might be a little less pretty in some way, but you can understand it, and I think that makes the text setting much more vivid. It would go something like this. So I return here, I return again to you, as a line to its center, like flame to fire's heart, and as a line to its center. So we have that. It's some Italian metaphor, an early 17th century metaphor. It may not be entirely clear, but it's a different experience than listening to the original language. If we take something from Giasone, we get even a higher degree of humor, and some would argue a lesser degree of poetry, but I think it's also good poetry. This edition we're doing was translated by Martin Morell and Paul Eccles in 1987 for a performance by the Manus Camerata. They were sort of the pioneers of doing 17th century opera in English in this city. So this translation is extremely colloquial, which I think actually reflects very well the spirit of the Italian. So here we have, what I'm about to do is Hercules' opening of the show. After the prologue, Hercules comes on stage. The show is mostly about Jason of the Argonauts, who is spending most of the opera embroiled in this love triangle and not fetching the golden fleece. And Hercules here is in fact chastising him for this fact. Being the mythic hero he is, he thinks Jason should, as you will see, get on with his quest and stop mucking around with women, which is making him very weak. You can draw your own conclusions about Greeks and drama from this. From eastern skies dawn sheds his golden light upon us earthly mortals. Yet from his lecherous love nest has that wretched Jason still not arisen? How will he now be able, distracted by nocturnal embraces, to undertake campaigns and to lead in battle? Women, with all your enticements, what foe could you not vanquish? From your tresses you weave most subtle labyrinths for heroes. Let but one little tear, just one small drop, flow down from those melting eyes, and any Greek is done for. Courage, boldness, and spirit, all in an instant vanished. The wind from a sigh, oh so gently exhaled from lips most treacherous, can uproot the trees and turn all the laurels into ashes on the fields of glory. So if you'd like to hear that sung by real singers and played by someone who can actually play the harpsichord, not to mention a couple of lutes and a baroque harp and a larone and a gamba and baroque violins, please come join us at Le Poisson Rouge in early September. And if you support this project, of course, we cannot present opera just based on ticket sales. That's just the way of it. So we could very much use your support. So please consider clicking on the link and sending us some rocket fuel.